The following is a Sports Channel special presentation. After 80 years of thrills and excitement, this is the final weekend of play at historic Comiskey Park. From July 1910 through September 1990, millions of people have watched baseball and many other exciting events at the Grand Old Park. And now, Sports Channel presents this special pregame report with host Al Janis, White Sox announcers Ken Harrelson and Tom Paciorek, along with reporters Kenny McReynolds and Bonnie Green. The final weekend at Comiskey Park is brought to you in part by True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores. Now, live at Comiskey Park, here's Al Janis.
The Sports Channel tent outside Armour Square Park, just north of the old ballpark. I'm Al Janis, welcoming you back to more of our special coverage on this final day at Old Comiskey Park. Now, during the course of the next 2 hours out here, we will have interviews both outside and inside the ballpark. We will have Sox broadcasters Kenny Harrelson and Tom Paciorek, along with Bonnie Green and Kenny McReynolds, and we will make darn sure to keep you totally updated on everything that's going on out here. Now let's begin our special day, final day coverage with a look at both the old and the new Comiskeys. It was known as the Baseball Palace of the World when Comiskey Park opened its doors on July 1st, 1910. Built at a cost of $100,000, Comiskey was unlike any baseball stadium before it. Over the years, millions of fans have witnessed 8 decades of excellence on the field, ranging from the Sox World Championship team of 1917 to great performances by the likes of Babe Ruth, Luke Appling, Nellie Fox, Carlton Fisk, and many more. There have also been the thrills of the Go-Go Sox of the 1950s, topped off with an American League pennant in 1959, the South Side Hitmen of the 1970s, and the Western Division champions of 1983.
Here's the pitch to Baines. Swinging a fly ball. This will be it. Center fielder's got it. Cruz is tagged. Here's the throw. Not in time. Stop Flynn. The White Sox have won the 1983 American League Western Division title.
Now the exciting young White Sox of 1990 get set to close out the final chapter at the old Comiskey, move their act across 35th Street to the brand new multi-million-dollar palace. 43,000-seat new Comiskey Park glistens with every modern joy and convenience for fans and will provide baseball in a superb setting when the White Sox take the field for the first time in April of 1991. And now, of course, plenty of live activity both inside, outside the ballpark. Let's go live right now to our reporters, Bonnie Green and Kenny McReynolds, and they're on the field right now. Guys, come in.
Thanks very much, Al Janis. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kenny McReynolds, along with Bonnie Green.
Well, Kenny, we've been watching all the preparations this morning as people are getting ready for the final day, the final game
here at Comiskey Park. Bonnie, I tell you what, we've been out here, we've seen people taking pictures, they had their cameras out here. The people, security guards, the Andy Frayne ushers, everyone out here has a camera here for the final day at Comiskey Park.
Well, the employees are taking pictures of each other. They're taking pictures in front of their stands, their refreshment stands, and out on the field, and they're trying to capture the nostalgia that's going on here. And if you saw the game last night, you had to shed a little tear for the last night game here when they did turn out the lights. It was very, very moving to see.
And again today, we'll take you to places in this old ballpark we don't think you've ever seen. We'll have some outstanding interviews. We'll meet some interesting people. We'll do that when we come back inside. But now, let's go back to Al Janis in our tent in Armour Square Park. Al?
Well, thanks, Kenny. And last night you talked about the last night game. The fireworks display was awesome. We will be showing you that. And after a break, we will have White Sox Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf. He joins Ken Harrelson live right after this as we continue.
In September, draw the line on drafts in your home with True Test Weatherall acrylic latex caulk. This siliconized white caulk is paintable and forms a flexible seal that resists mildew and moisture damage. In September, get a 10.5 fluid ounce tube of True Test Weatherall acrylic latex caulk for just 99 cents while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
course, everybody looking forward to the young White Sox of Okay, here we are. We're back now in our hospitality tent here at Sports Channel. Everybody looking forward to the 1991 White Sox. Of course, looking back to '89, the second half of last season, they began to win. They turned it around, kept it going this year, and they're up to 92 wins right now. You know, the Oakland A's, of course, have clinched, but the White Sox are looking forward to contending again next year. And there have been a lot of highlights this year in 1990. And let's take a look at how the White Sox have done this year as they've gotten everybody here on the South Side excited.
Fly ball, left field line. It's in the ballpark, and the out is made as Calderon makes the catch. So the final opening day in Comiskey Park history is a success as the White Sox turn back the Milwaukee Brewers 2-1 in front of a crowd of over 40,000 today.
Winning run at second with one gone. Here's Lance. There's a base hit. Here comes Sosa. Sierra with a good arm. Sosa with good speed. He scores. The Sox win it 5-4 in the bottom of the 13th on the base hit by Lance Johnson. Yes, deep to left field. Way out. Bradley on a track looks up. Put it on the board. A two-run homer for Kyle from Fisk. His first of the year. And the Sox lead it 3-2. Yes. Outfield bunch straight away. There's a shot, base hit into left field. They're going to wave it around. Here's the throw from Lance. Not in time. The Sox win it on a base hit by Carlos Martinez. 2-1. Yes. Yes.
Produce effect down and into a righty off the split.
Hey, way back to left field. Is it fair? Yes! A towering two-run homer by Sammy Sosa off a Stewart fastball, and the Sox lead it 5-1.
Pitch. Hit hard down the third baseline. It's fair! One run in. Here comes Thomas to score. Barkovite round the third. He's playing again. The throw by Lance, but he stays! Woo! Punch in the third. A three-run double for Carlton Fisk.
Outfield very deep, spread out. This could be Fletcher. Bobby! Yes! Bobby Thigpen has just broken baseball all
As you can imagine, nobody is happier about the way the White Sox have turned it around than the man who signs those checks, White Sox chairman Jerry Reinsdorf, and he joins Kenny Harrelson live right now. Fellas.
All right, Al, thank you very much. And joining us up here in the booth, chairman of the board, Jerry Reinsdorf and Eddie Einhorn. Gentlemen, this is going to be a very, very special day in both your lives. You're coming here in 1981. All of a sudden, in 1983, you win yourselves a divisional championship. The last day for the old lady.
It's a great day. It really hasn't sunk in yet, Huck. I think when we sit here after the game is over and the people start to file out, and then all of a sudden it's empty and you know that nobody's going to come back again, I think that's when it's going to sink in.
How about your thoughts, Eddie?
Well, you know, it's made it good for me, and I'm very positive. The fact that the new place is right across the street, and I always wasn't in favor of that, you know. I always thought maybe we should go out to the suburbs, but I was wrong. The fact that it's over there and people saw it rise all year long. Now it's even got Comiskey Park even written on it. It gives you the sense that, you know, we're just going to pick up this act, take a walk across that's right, and start it all over for another 100 years. So I think the continuity factors made a whole difference for me and for a lot of our fans. I haven't had one fan kind of complain or anything since like the middle of the season when they saw it start to really come to fruition.
Well, not to put a little bit of a damper on this thing, but this stadium situation has been very special to you guys for quite a while, obviously since 1986.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot, to say the least. You know, I don't think I'm ever at a loss for words, but I don't think I could describe what our lives have been in getting this thing built. And when next April the 18th, when it opens up, I think then I'll breathe a sigh of relief and say it's done.
How about the year itself now? To me, you know, in 1983 it was a great season, obviously, winning 99 ball games and winning the divisional championship by 20 games. And I've been coming here since 1963 playing in this ballpark. But for me, my own personal recollection of this ballpark will be of 1990. This has been the most exciting season for me because of this young club that nobody expected anybody. They didn't expect to do anything.
Well, the shock. I think 83 was special, and I think it'll always be my fondest memory because it was the first winter. But the shock of having all those geniuses that picked us to finish last proven to be wrong. And they not only picked us last, Hawk, they picked us last with a venom. Yeah. And the national press. I mean, we saw stories from all over the country that were filled with hatred because the White Sox were so awful. And I wonder how many of those people are going to be writing that they were wrong.
I'll tell you one thing. I said in spring training, if we won 81 ball games, I said we'll have a great year. And really, I didn't even believe that. I thought we'd win about 75. But these young kids, Eddie, they have come along. And the way Jeff Torborg has allowed these young kids to maintain them, and I mean allowed them to maintain that high intensity level, it had to be great for you guys.
No, this was just wonderful. You know, when you don't expect something, it's even greater. I mean, I've always said that in life. I think the biggest disappointment we had, it was like in '84 when we expected something, and a dynasty, and all these thoughts were going through our mind after '83, and it just went in the kaboo, you know, just died on us. And then here to not expect it and have it, and to see that, hey, this, you know, I'm not going to say we're going to play as well every year, but you can see that there are a lot of guys here that will get better. I mean, nobody really had the real career year. They just played well as a unit and can all improve. And it's just exciting, and you never could want it. When could you ever want it in a better year than this one? The last year here, and the whole needing to get the fans back to us. Right. And you were a big part of this too. And you coming back, and I think got into everything, and the fans got into that. Even we got popular again. We were here. I couldn't believe it. Even we were signing autographs last night. Now, a year ago, you know that we could look out of the box over there for fear of total derision and throwing things, and it's a great feeling, the whole comeback of the franchise, and the winning was a part of it, the stability was a part of it, and we just hope we can keep it going now for another 10 years.
Well, you know, that's the way I look at it, too. We were out to dinner the other night with some friends of mine, and I was very fortunate to be with the Red Sox in 1967, and that, for the most part, was a renaissance of baseball in New England. And I think that 1990, especially after, you know, 83 on, or after 84 on, I should say, I think that we'll look back, hopefully knock on wood, and see 1990 being the renaissance of White Sox baseball. I can feel a relationship. The fans now have a definite relationship with this ball club, and it's a young club, exciting club, and thanks to you guys for putting it together.
Well, you know, Hawk, we realized the other day that with a win in Seattle on Sunday, that our ownership has now gone back over the 500 mark in the 10 years. And, you know, that may very well be the best record of any ownership that's had the White Sox.
Well, I think you guys are 2 or 3 over 500 now for the time that you've owned the ball club, and our congratulations to that. And thanks for coming up and joining us on this beautiful day.
Good to be with you always, Hawk.
Right. Love it.
Thank you, Jerry. Reinsdorf and Eddie Einhorn. Now let's go back to Al Janis.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ken. Everybody, of course, popular when you're winning. Historic day, final game ever at Old Comiskey Park. Sports Channel coverage will continue right after this. Stay with us. And now a recent inductee into the Hall of Fame, Jerome Holtzman of the Chicago Tribune. He's live with Kenny McReynolds. We have a little problem out there on the field. We will be back with Kenny McReynolds and Jerome Holtzman, hopefully, right after this.
Coming up. You're watching Sports Channel. Here's what's coming up tonight. Time now to look back at a glorious memory from Comiskey Park's historic past.
One of the greatest pitchers in White Sox history was right-hander Ted Lyons, who spent 21 seasons on the mound at Comiskey Park. He is the White Sox all-time leader in wins, complete games, and innings pitched. Lyons led the American League in wins in 1925 and 27, while also leading the circuit in complete games and innings pitched in 1927 and 1930. He also led the league with a .210 ERA at the age of 41. One of his greatest thrills came on August 21st, 1926, when he pitched a 6-0 no-hitter against Boston. Lyons won over 20 games in a season 3 times and led the White Sox pitchers in innings pitched 6 times, ERA 7 times, and victories 9 times. Elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1955, White Sox All-Star Ted Lyons was honored with the retirement of his number 16 uniform jersey in 1988 at Comiskey Park.
Okay, we found the little gremlin that unplugged our audio cord inside the stadium. We kicked him out. We got it back together, and now we're going to hear from Jerome Holtzman. He is a recent inductee into the Hall of Fame, writes for the Chicago Tribune, and he is live with Kenny McReynolds.
Thank you, Al. Janis. Well, Jerome Holtzman, here we are, the final day at historic Comiskey Park. Did you ever think that this old grand lady would come down?
Never, 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 never. No, I thought it would last forever, and in a way, I'm sorry it hasn't.
What are some of your fondest memories of Comiskey Park?
Well, I was here in 1939 when I was 11 years old, and recall very vividly it was Ted Lyons' day. He only pitched on Sunday, and he got a 1939 Fire Red Buick. That was his main gift. I was also here sitting up in the right field stands the night that, I think it was the first night game I ever saw, when Orville Grove had a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th inning against the Yankees. They hated Yankees. And Joe Gordon doubled down the third base line. But I have a lot of memories. I can remember Luke Appling, everybody always shouting, you know, come on, Luke, come on, Luke. I can see Zeke Benur at first base, Jimmy Dykes. You know, I came here a lot as a boy.
What about the 1959 Go-Go White Sox? A lot of people I talked to say that was probably the best team in Chicago White Sox history. Of course, I'm not old enough to remember.
Well, I don't know if it was the best team in White Sox history, but it's the only team in the last, since 1919, that won a pennant for the White Sox. It was a very exciting year. Aparicio and Nellie Fox, Jim Landis, Lawler, Ted Kluszewski and all those big pitchers. It was a very exciting year. I was here most of that season.
I remember back in 1977, the Southside Hitmen had this place jumping like I don't think it has been since, and that includes the 1983 season.
Well, you could be right. You know, the Hitmen were really, it was a very exciting time with Oscar Gamble and Richie Zisk, and the franchise really did revive. And it was, you know, you're right. I can remember it was a jumping place. It's been a jumping place on a lot of occasions through the years.
Let's go back to 1972 when Dick Allen really saved the franchise from moving up to Milwaukee.
He certainly did. I remember when Dick Allen hit a ball that lodged in one of the speakers in center field. You know, in those days the bullpen canvas wasn't up then, and Richie Allen was just a great player. He was. I can recall once he hit a home run into the edge of the upper right field stands. That's about as you know, as far as you can hit one.
That's the one when Harry Carey almost caught it with his net out in center field.
Well, I don't remember that.
That one I remember. I was here. See, I've been around a little bit, but not as long as you. Tell me now. Let's talk about the ballpark across the street. You have so many new concrete stadiums, but the new Comiskey Park is really going to have some old tradition.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I don't like the new ballparks, generally speaking. The new ballparks in the main are antiseptic and concrete, and there isn't much difference from one to the other, and that's one of the reasons that I love Wrigley Field, I love Fenway Park, and Comiskey Park too, because they're different. And I hope that the new Comiskey Park has a lot of tradition, you know, from here in the ballpark. If it does, it'll be much easier for me and people of my age to accept it.
When you talk about a lot of people that want to come out to the Comiskey Park for the last time today, we came in here, we saw something I've never seen before, a lot of press and media people taking pictures on the field.
Well, as a matter of fact, a lot of the writers have been taking pictures. This is a historic day, and I've got a picture, for example, of the first game I covered here with a lot of writers, and we're taking more today. And it's a bittersweet day. It's really a historic day in Chicago sports history, and certainly in White Sox history. And I'm not sure that I'm all happy about it because I hate to see the old ballpark go.
Well, I tell you what, Jerome, we're glad that you were able to come by today. Thanks so much for coming by and sharing a couple of minutes with us. But one thing that's so unique about Comiskey Park is the beautiful scoreboard. And we have a chance right now to go upstairs to Bonnie Green, and she's with the man that operates the scoreboard, Jeff Chanel. Bonnie?
Thanks, Kenny. I'm talking with Jeff Chanel. You're the manager of scoreboard operations. Now, this is a busy place during the game, right?
One of the busiest places in the whole stadium. We have a staff of 10 people that operate both scoreboards. We set off the fireworks from here. It takes us about 6 hours of preparation before each game, and it's been a crazy week, but I have the best crew in baseball, and I'm proud of them.
Now, you also take requests, so to speak, from people. People will send up things that they'd like to have put on the scoreboard.
We put up group welcomes, special welcomes, a lot of birthday messages where we have Nancy Faust, the stadium organist. She plays Happy Birthday, or we'll use the Beatles version. We get requests from all over the country for people to see their names on our scoreboards, and we accommodate them.
So you're in touch with Nancy, and how many other people during the game here in the scoreboard operations?
We're in communication with the public address announcer, Bob Finnegan, and Gene Honda, with Nancy Faust. So we have to coordinate with her and with the announcers on when to talk, when Nancy should play, and with the crew and when we have our animations on the board, our videos, our music. It's a big operation.
Tell me what's going to happen to this scoreboard when it's all over after today.
Thank goodness the scoreboard is leaving the Chicago White Sox family. It is going to be purchased by a minor league baseball team, and all of the hardware in the room goes with it. We're getting everything new, a Sony Jumbotron screen similar to the Toronto Blue Jays scoreboard, and we're going to have the state-of-the-art equipment, hopefully.
And so that'll take a little learning experience, won't it?
Well, with the talented crew that I have, it'll be a little training involved, but we're ready to go March 1st.
Well, one thing people notice the most at Comiskey are the fireworks that come from behind the scoreboard.
Fireworks, like you say, are the most visible part of our board, and Kathleen Schaefer sets off the fireworks. It's the most exciting time for us because we have to coordinate the fireworks with the Melrose fireworks people, the lights on the board, the animation that goes with it, the replay, and we have to calculate the distance on the home run, which is very interesting.
So there's probably a lot of people scurrying around trying to figure out how far exactly it was.
It is. The announcers disagree with us a lot, but we have a calculated system that we formulated with IBM, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of work, but we have a lot of fun also.
Tell me about the new scoreboard. Will it look similar to this one?
The new scoreboard will have a similar look to this. It'll be a little larger. The matrix board will be in a different location. We're going to have 6 scoreboards lining the outfield. Because there won't be an upper deck, the entire outfield will be lined with 6 different scoreboards: out-of-town scores, the Jumbotron, our animations, and 2 other matrix boards. So we're interested, and we're going to have a lot more equipment next year.
Are you going to miss this place?
It's a sentimental place. I grew up here, and I actually kissed my girlfriend, who is now my wife, here for the first time. But I'm going to miss Comiskey Park because I'm a lifetime White Sox fan, and I'm lucky enough to have a hobby that I'm employed to do.
Is your crew looking forward to working in the new location and with all the new equipment?
My entire crew can't wait to get out of here and to move into the new park. We're very interested, and we're all baseball fans, so we can't wait.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Back to you, Al.
Thanks a lot, Bonnie. I tell you, I saw that fireworks show last night, the grand tribute, the last night game. I've never seen anything like it. It was like every 4th of July that ever was, all rolled into one. It was spectacular. It was about 15 minutes long. And right after this is the Sports Channel report on the final day at Comiskey continues. We will hear live from Bobby Thigpen. Stay with us. Sox fans spell relief? Well, it's T-H-I-G-P-E-N. Bobby Thigpen, and the man who set a record this season for relievers, joins Tom Paciorek right now.
Thanks, Al, and that's a real good job of spelling, too. You know, Bobby Thigpen registered his 56th save last night. The number 56 is really big in baseball history because Joe DiMaggio set a record for 56 consecutive games hidden, and that's one thing that's always been regarded as the most unattainable goal in Major League Baseball, the one thing, that record that will probably never be topped. Now, Bobby, you have already beaten Dave Righetti's previous record by 10. Do you think your record is ever going to be broken?
Well, you don't want to say never, but I think it's going to be very, very hard to get. You just don't have this type of year where your team is involved in this many close games and this many opportunities come up in one season. So, you know, hopefully I can tack a couple more on before the season's over, and you know, we'll just wait and see. But yeah, I think it's going to be hard to do.
You know, with 4 games left, 60 sounds like a good round number to me. Bobby, you really turned it around in April. Remember, we go back to that game in Texas. We always talk about that game. Incaviglia hit the home run to beat you in that game, but you really learned something from that appearance, and you just kind of added to your repertoire.
Well, you're right. You know, I kind of sat there. Jeff loves to bring this game up. He sees it as a turning point for me this season and the team. We had lost 4 or 5 in a row. We lose that one with a 3-run lead, and, you know, I give up 2 home runs, like you said. And, you know, then after that game, we came back, and I had actually a harder situation the next night and got out of it and struck out the side in the 9th. And then from there, we went on and won 5 or 6 in a row. So, but after the game, I'm sitting there, and he's talking on the PA system at Texas Stadium, and I guess I kind of learned a lesson that you know, you can get people out with something else in the fastball, and I've been doing it a lot this year. I've had a more consistent slider than I've ever had, and I've thrown it a lot. I've even thrown it 3-2 2 or 3 times this year, and it's an out pitch for me now instead of something where I just show it just in order to give the hitter something else to think about. Now they know I can throw it for a strike, and I'm going to throw it to get them out.
Well, Bobby, I know you've always been a team-oriented player, but you look at your numbers. They're absolutely incredible. You're 4-6. You've had a part in 60 of the White Sox 92 victories so far, and yet you really don't hear your name mentioned a whole lot when you're talking about the Cy Young Award. Have you thought about Cy Young?
No, not at all. You know, Bob's had a great year over there for Oakland, and he probably deserves it more than anyone. You know, Clemens has got a shot now. He's back. He's pitching well. Pitched well last night. You know, I'm ahead in the roll age points. If I stay ahead and win that, that's fine. You know, the Cy Young can go to a starter. It doesn't really bother me that I'm really not a candidate, but you know, I've never really thought about it.
You know, I think about that in terms, because I look at Willie Hernandez. Remember when he was with the Tigers? I think he saved 34, 35 ball games for Detroit. They won the World Championship. And yet he was MVP of the league as well as the Cy Young Award, and he never really came close to approaching your numbers. Do you think that those awards should go to people from the teams that win the pennants and World Series?
Well, I don't know. I guess there's arguments both ways, but you know, that year that Willie did that, you know, I think he only had one blown save. He was either 34 35 or 32 of 33, something like that. And you know, he just had a great year, and plus they won it. But you know, like last year, I think Mark Davis won the Cy Young last year, and San Diego wasn't in the top 3, I don't believe. And I don't know. You know, that's up to the writers or whoever it is that votes, and it really doesn't bother me if a guy has an outstanding year and he just happens to be on a last place or 5th place team. Then you know, that's not his fault. He's gone out and done the job and put up the numbers.
Well, not a bad year to go to arbitration either.
Yeah, bad timing, I tell you. Jerry's standing over here. I'm going to walk by and ask him about it.
Where is Jerry Reinsdorf? We'll have to get a few comments on Jerry on what he's going to do to sign Bobby Thigpen for many, many years to come. Now let's go back to Al Janis somewhere at Comiskey Park.
Of course, I'm sure that Bobby's agent has been listening to all that. Now, when our Sports Channel coverage of the final day at Comiskey continues, we will have a live segment of a very popular Sports Channel show, Sportswriters on TV. Stay with us.
We hate to see it end. Goodbye to Comiskey. You've been a lifelong friend. Goodbye to Comiskey.
Time now to look back at a glorious memory from Comiskey Park's historic past.
On May 1st, 1951, the White Sox color barrier was broken in dramatic fashion at Comiskey Park when the Cuban Comet Vinny Minoso belted a 2-run straightaway center field home run. This happened in his first White Sox at-bat. Minnie hit over 308 times during his career and boasts a .304 lifetime average with the White Sox. Minnie led the American League in stolen bases during 3 consecutive seasons in the early 50s and led the American League with 184 hits in the twilight of his career. That was 1960 at the age of 38. Minoso's White Sox career stats rank in the top 10 on 14 all-time club career batting lists. This 5-time All-Star became the oldest major leaguer to ever get a base hit when in 1976, at the age of 53, he singled against the Angels at Comiskey Park. Minnie Minoso, the first major league player to appear in at least 5 different decades, is honored by the White Sox with the retirement of his jersey number 9, which hangs proudly in Comiskey Park.
We're delighted to be here this afternoon, and we would like to do a 2-hour show or a 1-hour show, but we have the element of time. So real quick, just let me start things off by saying today is kind of a sad day for a lot of us. A piece of Chicago is gone. We're talking about the old, and we'll always be fond of Comiskey Park. Of course, right across the street is the brand new one. And first, let me introduce our panel. The gentleman at my left, Bill Joust of the Chicago Tribune. Here is Mr. Rick Tellender. He is the senior writer for Sports Illustrated. And, of course, he needs no introduction, Bill Gleason, a true Southsider. And now, let me go right to you, Bill, and ask you again of the memories or memory that stands out in your mind relative to the park.
I have so many memories, Ben. We talked about my fondest memory the other day when we cavorted at home plate here for the last time, and that was the night of the 19-inning game, which followed the 17-inning game between the White Sox and the Boston Red Sox. In the 19th inning, Don Lenhart of the White Sox won it with a double off the bricks after I was reminded by one of the fans after the Red Sox had scored 2 runs in the top of the 19th. Fella told me he left then because the game kept going back and forth, and he said, that's the last time I ever left early.
And now let me go to you, Bill Joust, real quick. What is an outstanding event or memory?
I'm accused of being a North Sider, which is true. But on the other hand, I courted my wife in the upper right field grandstand in Comiskey Park in 1951. Well, didn't exactly court her the way people court today, but old-fashioned courting, like where just to hold hands or squeeze a little bit when Minnie or Little Nell would get a hit. And so I feel like I'm a Southsider, at least by transfusion.
Okay. And now, Rick Tellender, you may have been a little too young, but
I'm getting older, Benny. No, I have some great memories of Comiskey Park. It was the first ballpark, Major League ballpark, that I ever came to, and I came typically, as most kids do, with their dad. And I ate so much food that day that I don't remember much about the baseball game. I love this park, but I honestly got to think that the new park is going to be very nice, too.
We just saw it, and I'm sure that you have, Mr. Gleason, the brand new park. And the name is already engraved, Comiskey Park. And you've seen the park. Can you tell us about it?
Well, first I want everyone here and everyone watching to know that Rick Tellender is the father of a 2-day-old boy.
Thank you. Hold that up.
A 10-pounder.
He would have come with us today, except they said if you check him out of the hospital, he can't get back in. But wouldn't that be great 90 years from now for him to have a picture of himself at 2 days at the last game at Comiskey Park?
Rick had 3 daughters, and now finally, and he named the kid after the man who designed Comiskey Park, Zachary Taylor Davis Tellender. And that's a wonderful, wonderful tribute to old Zach, to have young Zach make him an architect, because by the time he comes along, Reinsdorf will want to tear down the new park.
I know.
As long as it's been named, as long as it's already been named Comiskey Park, Roman numeral 2, I guess, there's only one thing that remains to be done to the new thing on the south side of 35th Street, and that is it should be named Thack Field.
Okay. Well, that's nice. I would like to introduce, if I may, 2 people that are very important to the sports writers, and because of that, we have such a wonderful audience. From New York, the head of Sports Channel there, Mr. John Moore, nice to see you. And standing next to him is Mr. Jim Corno, who runs the Chicago part of the Sports Writers. And we got the 2 powerhouses here with us.
I think Jim Corno's in the back with his chainsaw.
Well, I'm trying to make time. This is the big guy out of New York. I want to make a little time with them so that we're on a little longer.
Ben never stops promoting, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I want to go back to you again because you were raised in Sox Park. And I know that you told us about the times that you came here, father and son night, you came here with your father on many, many occasions. And this is something that I'm sure that you will never, never forget. I know we all have outstanding moments. We've said that. Mine was seeing Babe Ruth for the first time right here at Comiskey Park, seeing Lou Gehrig, and that was a highlight as far as I was concerned.
Do any of you older fans remember Father and Son's days? We'd come out and adopt a father. Our fathers worked, fortunately, and you'd come out and hang around and you'd walk up to a man and say, will you be my father for the day? And sometimes the guy not only would get you into the ballpark, Rick, he'd buy you peanuts and popcorn and hot dogs. And like all good things, though, one day about 40,000 kids came out here. There weren't enough fathers to go around, so they broke down the gates. And Mrs. Comiskey said, nuts to that, that's the end of Father.
Knowing you guys, I'm surprised you didn't go home with them and take their cars.
Today, Rick, there are a lot of your friends up in the press box are there. They're coming from all over to watch this event this afternoon. This is going national all over the country. What about the fact that you are going to be writing a Sox story?
Well, I don't know if I'm writing. I just want to witness this thing. I missed, I was at the first night game at Wrigley Field, if that's a big deal. I missed Disco Demolition. I was there in '83 to see them when they clinched the pennant. So this is something I just can't miss, man, whether I'm writing or not. Today I'm just a fan.
Oh, today you're a fan.
Yeah,
that's
right.
great.
That's right.
That's great. And you're working today.
I can't call it work when I'm talking to people like the ones that are around here, as I've been doing, because they're Sox fans, they're baseball fans. They are very smart. They know that the park is being built with public money. They're not thrilled over that idea, and yet they recognize that change is going on, and change perhaps is inevitable.
Well, I would have to say this, that the good Lord has smiled down upon us today. Look, here in Chicago, the weather is absolutely gorgeous. I got here very, very early, and these fans were thronged throughout the park.
Hey, Ben, I would like to say one thing, perhaps.
Go ahead. You can say two things.
In favor of the new park. You know, what I've been thinking a lot about old Comiskey and new Comiskey. I don't think we will ever have a baseball structure built again with bricks. I think you won't see bricks in a baseball park. It reminds me of when I was a little kid, and there would always be an old school that all the parents wanted you to go to, and you're a kid, and they say they're building a new school that doesn't have as much tradition, but as a kid, you think, hey, this is great. And you're ready to go to the new school, and eventually you go to the new school and you realize in a lot of ways it's much better than the old one. I'll miss the tradition, it will miss the location, but it's so close, and I'm just trying to think of all the good things I can about it.
Well, one thing is, Rick, that the same infield will be in the new park. I was talking to Roger Bossard, the groundskeeper, just a few minutes ago. They're going to transport that very infield over there so the shortstop position can be just the way Ozzie likes it, and the third base the way Ventura likes it, and the second base with the firmness that Scotty Fletcher likes.
Are they transporting the tobacco juice too? Just the whole everything?
The whole works.
Everybody is going to miss this park. You're going to miss the Louis Aparicio, Nellie Fox, that Luke Appling, that great group. You will always miss them. Certainly, we're going into a brand new park. I think the Cubs have the potential right now for. They've got some real great players that are. Look what just happened to Frank Thomas.
White Sox.
Yeah, to the White Sox.
White Sox, okay.
Well, what do you think I'm talking
Didn't he
about?
say Cubs?
Yeah, he did.
Did I say the Cubs?
Sorry, Ben.
Well, that takes care of me. I want to go back to you, Bill. I only go back to you because of the fond memories that you really had here at this park. And I remember traveling from the west side, 3 cents in those days for a streetcar, coming out here to watch the late and great Babe Ruth. That's my outstanding memory. And now, you're really going to miss this old place.
Well, I'm heartbroken, to be candid with you. It's just, to me, this is a devastating day, and I know I'll never get over it, because one day this place will be gone like Ebbets Field and Braves Field in Boston and Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. And Rick made a lot of good points about modernity, but we tear down too much in Chicago that's beautiful and that's good.
That's a good point.
Very good point, that we tear down things.
Yeah, let's hope the people at Wrigley and Fenway are listening to you.
You know, I was thinking, you guys, since a baseball park is mostly open space, can you tear down open space? I mean, it's the spirit of it is still there. It's still
there till you put a laundromat in well, a saloon isn't bad, but if you put a laundromat in a shopping mall out of it.
Any plans to build a new McCuddy's?
Hey, if they got a franchise.
Well,
you're always in there fighting and you do your best. We're glad to have you out here.
Well, I love you every summer, and I left you every fall and springtime.
It's not just a baseball game, it's an historic event, the last baseball game ever in Old Comiskey Park. Get set as Sports Channel brings you the finale at the House on 35th Street, Sunday, September 30th, as the thrilling conclusion to our weekend-long Comiskey Fest. Live coverage begins at 11 with 2.5 hours of interviews and special reports on the ballpark leading up to the final game. And you won't want to miss the special Sports Channel tent in Armour Park just north of Comiskey on the final day. Stop by Sunday morning after 11, watch our live programming, and enjoy some free refreshments. It's the last day at Comiskey with Sports Channel, brought to you in part by Coca-Cola and True Value.
last few seconds, we've heard from some of the great writers here in Chicago, and they have all, of course, been at one time or another up in the press box. And a man who has some great memories of old Comiskey is Joe Panotti, the man who has run the press box for many years. And we go to Joe with Bonnie Green.
Thank you, Al. I'm talking with Joe Panotti, who's been an usher up here in the press box for 25 years. But, Joe, your experiences here at Comiskey go back a lot longer than that, don't they?
70 years back. When I was a kid, I used to come to the ball games and watch ball games.
And what did it cost you back then?
If you paid, it cost you, I think, 25 cents. But when we didn't have the 25 cents, we'd sneak in the ballpark one way or another. We'd climb on top of cabs and jump over fences in left field, which was a low fence at that time, before they built the upper deck in left field.
Well, the years you've been here, that's probably about 1,700 games that they've paid you to watch. So you like that, huh?
That was great. I mean, I used to pay before and working. I said, that's a good idea. Why pay if you can work and get paid?
Well, you've probably seen a lot of interesting people up here in the press box. And when Bill Veeck was the owner, he used to roam around a lot. And he probably stopped up here once or twice.
He'd be up here for a short time, and he'd go down and go through the stands and walk around the stands and do many things. He was a real fan owner, the things that he did. And then a lot of the things they did, the promotions that he started, they were criticizing at that time. Then in the future, it just found that the other baseball clubs were doing the same thing. They thought it was gimmicks. But like we always said, it doesn't take anything away from the baseball game. It's just giving the fans a little something extra to come to the ball game.
Well, one of our most famous fans in Chicago has been Richard Daley and his son, current mayor Richie Daley. Have they spent a lot of time up here?
The father spent quite a bit of time in not in the press box, but they had a special box down below behind the third base dugout. And also Mayor Daley now still comes to the ball. When he does come to the ball game, sits down there, and he's been up here a number of times.
Well, you've probably seen a lot of the interesting press people, the broadcast media, the journalists. Has journalism changed a lot since the early days?
I don't think too much. I don't think they...
Well, there's a lot more TV people up here now than,
They don't say as much because you see yourself on TV and everything. I mean, you don't have to read the newspapers almost the way you did years back to get the news. We didn't have a radio or TV when I was a kid, so you had to read the newspaper.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. And are you going over to the new ballpark?
I hope to go. I'm looking forward to going there, and I really do.
Well, we wish you another 25 years in the press box.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Al.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bonnie. Of course, we can get another perspective on all these memories out here at Comiskey Park from Rich Lindberg. He is an author and the Sox official team historian. He is live right now with Kenny Harrelson.
All right, Al, thank you very much. And I'll tell you, that little piece right there with Joe Panotti, isn't he just a wonderful human being?
Yeah, Joe's a neighborhood guy. Been out here for many years. Saw Babe Ruth play. Joe's one of the sweetest guys I've ever met.
And, of course, the guy I'm talking to, Rich Lindberg, an author here, and also the official White Sox team historian. Rich, this is going to be a very significant day for you as much as you love the White Sox.
It's a day of nostalgia, it's a day of sadness, but I think it's also a day of anticipation because now, for the first time, White Sox fans, the cloud is gone, the future of the franchise is secure in Chicago, and we can look to the fact that we've created a legacy for generations yet to be born. I hate to see this old park go, but at the same time, I'm thankful that the franchise is secure in Chicago, and it'll be there for the next 100 years, hopefully.
Well, I agree. Talking to Rich prior to our little interview here, and he was going, I'll tell you, I think that your viewpoint probably is the most comprehensive of any I have heard about the thing. And why don't you explain a little bit of your viewpoint?
Well, my view is that this stadium, when it was built in 1910, it was called the Baseball Palace of the World. But there were some inherent flaws in the design of the ballpark, which made it obsolete by the 1930s. It was too big. Baseball, the character of baseball changed by the 20s. The era of the dead ball was over with. And fans wanted home runs and lots of action. And here, it just hasn't been that case. White Sox teams have had to play little ball. The constraints of the park have dictated low-scoring games. And the upper deck put in 1927 made the park cavernous and imposing. And so by the 30s and the 40s, fans were looking to the smaller parks like Wrigley Field, Fenway Park. Those were the places that the people tended to gather at, and I think these are some of the reasons, some important reasons why it mandated that we have a new stadium. And it would have happened many years earlier, too, by the way. It would have happened in the mid-60s. Some things happened that got in the way, and it didn't get done, but really the ballpark has lasted 20 years longer than what anybody really expected.
Also, you brought up earlier the point that this was certainly a wedge, so to speak, between the perception of the fan to Sox management starting back in 1986 when it first came out.
It was a tremendously derisive issue. I think that the fans misunderstood what the ownership was trying to accomplish here. I think the critical thing to remember is that the ownership is committed to perpetuating the franchise on the South Side, but necessity dictated a new ballpark. This ballpark is going to fall down sooner or later. And we had to have a new home. It was unrealistic to think that the White Sox could have played in Wrigley Field or Soldier Field. Somebody suggested Soldier Field, and that would have been nonsense. That would have been like playing in the LA Coliseum in '59. It just didn't work out. So some things had to be done and some steps had to be taken, but I don't think at any time the ownership wanted to leave Chicago. And I think that's the crucial thing that White Sox fans must understand.
How about you personally now, being such a big lover of White Sox baseball and being the official team historian? What are some of the great memories you have?
Oh, I have memories going back to when I was a kid. Seeing my first ball game out here in 1964. I was 11 years old, and seeing Whitey Ford and Gary Peters. Peters, the great heir to the Billy Pierce legacy, and the two of them hooked up in a pitcher's duel. Naturally, that the Yankees won 1-0 in 11 innings, and that was that kind of frustration. The first game kind of showed to me the kind of history the White Sox had. But I think I would remember best are those games in late September when there are 5,000–6,000 people out here, the paper hot dog wrappers swirling around the outfield, the wind's blowing off the lake, Nancy Faust playing Old Lang Syne. Those games that really didn't mean anything at the end of the season will always stick out in my memory.
Would you agree that possibly, because this is your area of expertise, would you agree that possibly starting in 1984 but to now that possibly 1990 is a renaissance of White Sox baseball?
You know, and it's occurring on the 40-year anniversary of the last great renaissance. 1951 really introduced the go-go era, and for 17 consecutive seasons, the White Sox were a first-division ball club. 17 years of exciting baseball, and I like to think that on that anniversary, we've begun something that'll perpetuate itself. This is a quintessential White Sox team. Pitching, defense, minimal amount of hitting, enough to get by. This is fundamental White Sox baseball, and I look forward to the next couple years as being the renaissance continuing, developing. Oakland can only get older, but we're going to get better.
Rich Lindberg, it has really been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you come out in the book form with us.
Oh, absolutely. Ken, thank you.
Okay, all right. Rich Lindberg. Right now, let's go back to Al.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. Sorry to do this to you, but here's a little Al Janis poetry, very little. Next, we will meet a father and son, each with a green thumb, right after this.
Goodbye to Comiskey, you've been a lifelong friend. Goodbye to Comiskey, we hate.
Up to Jordan, Michael underneath for the dive. Whoa!
Bulls basketball on Sports Channel. There's nothing like it.
Yes, deep to left field. Way out. Bradley on the track looks up. Put it on the board. Yes.
White Sox baseball on Sports Channel. There's nothing like it.
No score. Here's Larmer trying to change it. He does. He shoots. He scores. Steve Larmer off the draw.
The Blackhawks on Sports Channel. There's nothing like it.
He's at the 50. It's a race. And Ismail is gone. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame football on Sports Channel. There's nothing like it.
Sports Channel. There's nothing like it.
Of course, when you talk about the grounds crews in baseball, the White Sox have one that is among the very best. And right now, Kenny McReynolds is live in the grounds crew room under the right field stands with Richard Ross.
Okay, thank you very much, Al. We're in the grounds crew room. You know, Comiskey Park may be 80 years old, but when you look at it, you really couldn't tell it. And the reason, the men in this room, the hardest working men around here, the grounds crew. I'm joined by Richard Ross. And Richard, when you look at Comiskey Park, I tell you what, you guys do an outstanding job.
Well, we try. You know, that's all we can do. You know, but sometimes we get hectic, understand. But you can't do any better.
You guys are sort of like the unsung heroes because you have so much work to do, but nobody really realizes exactly what you do. What's an average work day for the ground crew?
Average work day, every day.
Every day?
Every day is a work day for the ground crew.
7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Okay, tell me, what time do you guys have to get here, and what do you have to do?
We get here and we start work at 7 in the morning. And we work from 7 until.
What do you do?
Well, everything. You know, everything got to be done. You got to clean, you got to, on the field, you got to make up the field, you got to clean the field. So this concerned all day long.
How many men do you have on the grounds crew?
There's 13 of us.
Just 13 for the entire ballpark?
Right.
Now, I understand you're going to take the infield from this Comiskey Park across the street. How do you do that?
Well, we're going to take an end loader. We're going down 6 inches with the top part of the dirt. Then we're going to take that and put it to the side, and we're going 8 inches below that to the bottom part of the infield. We're going to take it and put it in first. Then we're going to come back and get the top part of the infield and put it in last.
Now, how long would that process take?
Well, I don't know, because we never did that before.
So this is going to be new for everybody, just an experiment.
Right.
Okay, now, one thing when I notice at Comiskey Park, when I look at the grass, it looks like it's 2 different colors. How do you do that?
Well, there's no 2 different colors. It's the same grass. It's just the way you cut it.
Okay, explain to me, how do you cut it?
Well, you cut the center part of the field first, and then you cut left field. And then when you finish left field, you cut right field. And it all came out to the same.
But it just looks different.
It just looks different.
Now, how do you clean this giant ballpark? I would imagine that it would take more than 13 men to clean up after 40, 50,000 people.
Oh, well, sure. But we don't have anything to do with the cleaning at night. You know, we just do what we have to do during the day. And we have our janitorial cleaning service here during the day, at night.
Now, rain delays. Tell me about the rain delays. That tarp looks so big and so heavy, but you guys rip it out and run it and cover that field like it's nothing.
Yeah, well, it is nothing to the one that's looking at it, but the one that have to do it is something. You know, it's not easy as people think it is.
You see the guys in the background hollering, "Yeah, sure, you're right. It's hard to pull this tarp out there."
Right.
How heavy is the tarp?
Ooh, it weighs 11,000 pounds dry. Now
11,000 pounds dry?
You figure what it weighs when it gets wet.
Well, how can 13 men pull 11,000 pounds dry?
Well, they said it takes 10 to do it. So we have to 13, understand, for a good measure. And you still have a hard time.
Okay. Now tell me, when you go to Comiskey Park across the street, will they take all 13 guys with you across?
Oh, yeah.
Now, what would be the difference between the Comiskey Park groundskeeping in this ballpark as opposed to the new one across the street?
No, well, they said it's going to be easy, but I can't see what no work is easy when you're doing the same thing. You know, the only thing they is over there is better facilities for us. You know, we got more room and we got modern stuff to work with.
Okay, now, one thing in Comiskey Park I think is very unique. You have the little door underneath the right field corner. Is this just for you guys to be able just to come in and come out?
Yes.
Okay.
But, you know, a lot of times we may be up in the stand and we just go right across the wall, you know, if it's come to that. Sometimes, you know, 13 men can't go through that door at one time. So we need bigger doors.
Okay,
so,
briefly, Richard, tell me a little bit about the Bossard family. You've been here, you know Roger, he's the head groundskeeper, and of course, he's one of the most famous groundskeeper in all of baseball.
Yeah, well, you know, they got to give him the credit, but we do the work.
Well, I think Rogers does a little bit of work.
Well, hey, he do in his way, but we do the work.
But I tell you, he's something else. But you know,
I tell you, he's nice, you know. But I would prefer if his father had been him, and he'd have been his father.
Okay. Well, he brings up a good point. For those of you who may not know, that Gene Bossard is also was a grounds crew member. Let's go to meet the Bossard family.
You know, I'll tell you, as we sit here now, sort of, I'm sure you feel the same way as I do. A piece of my heart's going to be gone. This is, what, my 24th year. I don't know, I look back, we had some good times and some bad ones. I can remember the disco demolition. I remember you and I running in the clubhouse with the ball players trying to get off the field when they had the bonfire.
When they got hit by 4 or 5 exploding records, as a matter of fact.
You know what, probably the one circumstance I probably remember when I was coming up underneath you was the time when, what was it, 1972, when Chuck Tanner was our manager, and we were playing Oakland. It's about halfway through the year. Remember that time when Chuck wanted you to went down the first base line, going to first and the second, and God, I'll never forget it. What was a Friday night? Full house. We were tied for first place with him, and Wilbur Wood. What did he do? He walked Bill North on 4 pitches.
That's right.
Yeah, and then the next pitch he threw home, and Bill North took off. And remember, he took a step and a half, fell flat in his face, and the catcher threw him out, and everybody went crazy. But we still lost the game by 8 runs. We thought we were helping at the time.
Well, that was part of what they call tricks of the trade, if you recall, Raj.
Yeah.
They had a running ball club, so we tried to contain them at first base. And that's like when Nellie Fox was with us. We kept the third base foul line high.
Right.
Because we had a bunting ball club and we wanted to stay keep the bunts in. But things have changed since I joined the Sox in '41. Thinking about the scoreboard that Beck put in 1959. The fireworks.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And the picnic area.
Yeah, a lot of big changes.
And speaking about things that we run into and encountered, Frank Lane, I think, was the first one to, remember, we had fences from foul line to foul line.
Right.
And had the bullpens back of the fence. I'll never forget, about 2 o'clock in the morning, Frank Lane called me up and said, Gene, get those fences down. The Yankees are coming in town tomorrow. Well, that particular day, there were 6 home runs hit against us. Now the Yankees are coming in town with all their power. So Lane called me up, like I said, about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, Gene, get those fences down. I said, Frank, that's a huge job. I've only got 20 men. Got to get the field in shape. We got to still sweep the stands.
Right.
He told me what I could do with all that stuff. Well, we got the fences down. Had no bullpens. So I threw a couple of home plates and pitching rubbers on the side outside the playing field here. And that's how they warmed up for about a week down there.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
You know what, I mean, being my 24th year here, I'm going to miss the place, but I have to admit, I'm looking forward to going across the street. What, this is your 50th year now?
Yes. I started my 50th year.
You know, I can remember when I started when I was 18, and you said to me, Raj, why don't you give it a try? If you don't like it, I could get you in the electrical union. Well, I got to tell you something, Dad. There's been many times when I wish I went into the electrical union. When all these rain delays, disco demolition, the rock concerts. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, thanks a lot, Dad.
Now I know why you joined the Navy. Just to get away from that hard work. Yeah. Tell me, you're still working with the manager and who's going to pitch the next day and how to keep it soft in front of home plate or first base?
Oh, I would never dream of doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, you don't cheat?
Of course not. Can't do that anymore.
Well, I win a few ball games, Raj. You have to do something.
But that's against league rules. I would never do that.
You know, Bill Beck wrote several books, and Louis Boudreau, who's a neighbor of mine, they, in their books, they say a good groundskeeper wins 10 to 12 games a year by these tricks of the trade. Well, I told Bill Beck, I said, you know, Bill, you don't pay me like a pitcher who wins 10 or 12 games a year. So that was the end of that conversation.
We've had a few Ball State Fair this year down that line. I hope I'm helping a little bit.
Yeah, you get more publicity over TV and radio than some of the ball players. Roger Bossard saved us another game tonight.
You've been a lifelong friend. Goodbye to Comiskey. We hate to see it end. Goodbye to Comiskey.
Time now to look back at a glorious memory from Comiskey Park's historic past.
Comiskey Park's infield has been the home of 2 American League most valuable players. Second baseman Nellie Fox was named the league's best player in 1959 as he led the Go-Go Sox to the American League pennant. Nellie played in 156 games, hitting .306 with 2 homers and 70 runs batted in. He led the American League with 624 at-bats, was named the starting second baseman in the All-Star game, and picked up the Gold Glove Award for second baseman in 1959. In 1972, first baseman Dick Allen became the second White Sox player to win the MVP. Allen hit .308 and led the American League with 37 homers, 113 runs batted in. He walked 99 times and had a .603 slugging percentage. On August 23, 1972, Allen became only the fourth player ever to reach the center field bleachers with a home run and received the most votes of any Major League ball player for the 1972 All-Star Game. American League Most Valuable Players, Nellie Fox and Dick Allen, Comiskey Park legends.
And welcome back to the Sports Channel tent. Kind of sad, but at about 1:30, the national anthem will be sung for the very last time here at Comiskey Park. And the honor for that goes to the Oak Ridge Boys, and they are live right now with Bonnie Green.
Thanks, Al. I'm talking with the Oak Ridge Boys. Now, let me see if I can get this right. Steve, Joe, Richard, and Dwayne, and they're here from Bonnie. And they're here from Nashville, Tennessee. They're going to be singing the national anthem today, and you're also going to be singing it on opening day next year, right?
Yes, some folks from the White Sox, Carlton Fisk included, came down to Nashville last spring, and we shot a video of the national anthem that they played on the Diamond Vision for about half the home games, and they invited us to be here for this historic moment, and invited us to be here for the opening of Comiskey Park, and it's our honor, believe me, as baseball fans and singers to be here.
Well, now a couple of you gentlemen are sporting Carlton Fisk numbers here.
Carlton's our main man.
Carlton is your friend, right?
Oh, yes, he's our #1 man. We may be #1, but he's 72.
Well, now, I know that you, Richard, have a special affinity for baseball because you're involved with the minor league team in Nashville, the Nashville Sounds.
That's true. I am one of the owners of the Nashville Sounds. We are in the American Association, as we were talking earlier, also a member of the AAA Alliance. And it's great to be out here in a game like this and see a few players that have actually played in Nashville. Two White Sox are former Nashville Sounds and one player on the Seattle Mariners, so it's kind of nice to see them.
Well, that's pretty good. Now, you're also trying to get a major league team there in Nashville, right?
That's true. We're one of 10 cities or 10 groups that are trying to get 2 National League franchises that will be awarded here very shortly, and we just recently made our pitch to the expansion committee. We kind of have our fingers crossed that we can be a part of the National League.
Well, maybe if you guys write a song about it or something, that should help a little bit, you think?
It might. I'll tell you, Larry Schmitzo and Richard and all his guys down there, they've put together some pretty impressive presentations for the expansion committee. It made Nashville, we've seen the tapes and all, makes Nashville look like a real contender, and we're optimistic that maybe we got a shot at it. It would be great.
Well, now, this is not your first time to sing here at Comiskey Park. You've sung here before, sung the anthem before.
Right. In 1983, we sang the national anthem for the All-Star game here, the one that Freddie Lynn hit the Grand Slam home run that Steve called.
You called that?
He called it right before the pitch, I must say. So, Steve, you got any predictions for today's action?
Well, I think the Sox are going to tag them. I mean, you know, what can I say?
But you guys have a special affinity for the White Sox, don't you?
Well, yeah. In fact, we like the White Sox a lot. Carlton especially, like I say, he's a good friend of ours. And we have followed them really closely this year, and they've had a great season. It's like if only a few other teams had beaten Oakland a couple of times, like the White Sox did.
We beat them, right?
You know, so I think the White Sox organization could be very proud. They've built this franchise back up. It's got the fan support. I think that it was lacking there for a little while, and with the new stadium and the new excitement and this great young ball club, I think the White Sox have a heck of a future. I really do. They could win it next year.
Do you think people are going to miss this stadium? Are you going to miss it?
I think so. I think it's impossible not to miss a place like this. It has such great atmosphere. It's a great place to watch a ball game. I know if I had grown up in Chicago and came here when I was a kid, I would feel like part of me had died when they tear the old ballpark down. So while this is a great occasion, there's just a little twinge of sadness at the same time.
Well, you gentlemen you flew in from where?
We were in Philadelphia last night. My hometown, actually. I grew up in Philly, as did Richard in the Philadelphia area. He grew up over in Jersey. We played at a place called Valley Forge Music Fair last night. It's one of those theater in the rounds, kind of like Mill Run used to be here in Chicago.
And where are you off to after this?
We're going home for just a couple of days, and then we play Detroit Thursday night.
Back on the road again.
Back on the road. And in between touring and working on a new RCA album, we've been pretty busy these days.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming, and we're looking forward to hearing the anthem from you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Back to you, Al.
Now, I don't know if Chet Coppock sings, but he has a pretty good talk show here in Chicago, 6 nights a week on WLUP radio from 7 to 9:30. In fact, I understand it was just voted #1 talk show in the whole universe by USA Today.
Al, something we're very proud of, and by the way, welcome to Chicago. And I have to tell you,
This looks like a Rolling Stones concert. It looks like the World Series. I have never seen so many cameras, so many camcorders. The general feeling of ring out the old, ring in the new is something that I don't think we as Chicagoans will really ever experience again.
I understand that your first memory of this ballpark was almost as explosive as the scoreboard showed of the fireworks last night.
Very much so. Hearing the Bossards, for example, and realizing the epitome of father and son relationships, the paternal existence this ballpark means to so many people. I recall I was in 3rd grade. Back in 1958, my father came by our school on a very rainy day. White Sox are home with Casey Stengel and the New York Yankees. I thought the ball game would be rained out. I got down here. Art Ditmar threw at Larry Doby. Out went Doby. Here comes Alfred Manuel Billy Martin. Here comes Walt Dropo. Here comes Enos Country Slaughter. And the memories of this baseball fight. You would have thought you were watching Rocky Marciano against Jersey Joe Walcott. And the following day in both pictures, here was Billy Martin being led off the field with a police escort. Here was Enos Country Slaughter with his entire jersey having been ripped off by Walt Dropo. Memories galore of this ballpark. Big clues, 2 home runs in Game 1 of the 1959 World Series. Joel Horland's no-hitter in 1967. My gosh, the majestic year that Dick Allen had in this ballpark in 1972. Disco Demolition, which everyone has talked about, the great Bossard headache, if you will. Fred Lynn's home run, the 1983 All-Star Game. I'm very sad to see this ballpark go, like I think everybody is. All true White Sox fans, all true Chicagoans, but thanks to wonderful people like State Senator William Marovitz, we can look forward to what will be a second Diamond Palace, and I can think of no more appropriate location than right next door to the original old Romans Diamond Palace.
By the way, when you went to that ball game when you were 3 years old and you saw that fight out there, the next time you went to a ball game, were you disappointed if there was no fight?
No, I'll tell you why. This ballpark does something to you. As a matter of fact, there was a column written the other day that, for example, this ballpark, because of a lack of World Series baseball, if you will, in the eyes of certain people has just been that, a ballpark. It's not the house that Ruth built. It doesn't have vines, for example. This is just a ballpark. And that's the beauty of Comiskey Park. The fans who come out to this ballpark are not yuppies, if you will. They are not the type of people who will attend the American Ballet Theater. They are just people who want a good show for a buck. And I have never lost sight of it. The ball players who I've enjoyed watching over the years in this stadium, people like Minnie Minoso, Nellie Fox, people like Dick Allen, for example, during 1972, they were subscribers to the work ethic, and that's what this ballpark is really all about. And I think if I have one particular feeling that I think exists right now with all fans who have gathered today, and there is such a feeling of mixed emotions, Al, with all of this, it's that will the new ballpark contain the same feeling of ambiance? Will it contain the same feeling of, by gosh, this is a working class type of operation? And the answer, in my opinion, is yes. Brick and mortar don't make a ballpark. Fans make a ballpark.
It's going to be the same fan.
White Sox fans are without question the most wonderful fans in the world. Give them anything resembling a product, they will show up. Give them a wonderful product, as has been the case this year, and what I truly believe is something of a renaissance year for Chicago White Sox baseball, and they will support you in droves.
Well, Chet Coppock says that the fans are going to like the new ballpark. I've seen it. I'm going to love it. I'm sure you're right, and I'm sure Chet Coppock knows.
And you fans are going to love this guy. He's in from San Diego, California, and Coppock says he's going to be #1 in this market. Give Big Al a round of applause and let him know you appreciate it.
What's that going to cost me?
Probably $5.
All right, that's better. Harrelson charged you $20 last night. Anyway, we'll be back with more on the Sports Channel Final Day coverage here at Comiskey Park right after this. Getting close to game time, and our coverage continues now with Dick Spula of Aurora, Illinois. Now, Sports Channel had a contest a little while ago, about 2.5 months ago it started, on the best memory. The fans sent in cards, and Dick, you won that. Dick, what was your memory of this great ballpark?
Well, basically, it was when I was a little kid, about 7 years old. I used to live about 2 blocks away from the ballpark here. And my brother, one night, put me on his shoulders. and he carried me. We lived on the other side of the Pennsy tracks. He said, close your eyes, and he carried me on his shoulders, and he brought me to the edge of the tracks there, and he said, all right, take your hands down, and wow, there the lights were for the first time in Sox Park, and that was one of the best memories I ever had.
Carried you on his shoulder.
Right, that's right, and he's probably watching today someplace in the local neighborhood right here.
Now, did you ever return that favor?
Oh, I doubt it very much. It's a brother.
But you've seen the new ballpark across the street.
Oh, yeah, I've been watching it as I've come to games here. Of course, I won a set of tickets for the first entry, and then it came back up again for the final, and somehow I lucked out on that. So we've seen the new park versus the old park, and hey, progress grows. That's the way it goes.
Doesn't make you all that sad, the fact they're going to tear this place down?
Well, it does, because the memories are back when I was a kid. I've been out of the Chicago area now for about 25 years, so it's not hurting me as much as the local people around here. The local people in the area here really depend on the ballpark for a lot of their activities that go on, a lot of their business. And they're going to miss the old ballpark, but I'm quite sure the new ballpark is going to bring more people in anyhow.
Plan on coming down here for the new park?
Absolutely, we'll be down. I'd like to see the first game if I can.
And you won some seats to the game.
Yeah, well, we won a package of goodies from Sports Channel, and we won 4 box seats to today's game, and we won 2 of the original wooden chairs from the field, which we'll pick up sometime in November.
Do you remember much about that first game? You said your brother carried you, and you looked out, saw the lights?
No, the only thing I can remember actually are the lights at that time, because I was too small at the time. I realized that.
And later on, I'm sure you saw some games that you did remember?
Oh, yeah, we did. I can remember old names like Thurman Tucker, of course, Luke Appling, and Ken Berry, Jimmy Landis, and Nellie Fox, of course, Aparicio, Carrasquel, the whole group of them right there. The last game that I sort of remember here was back in '83 when Kittle came up, hit a home run to center field, and Fisk came up, hit a home run to center field, and then Paciorek came up, and guess what he did? He hit one into left field. So he just couldn't get along with the guys that were really hitting it.
Okay, Dick Spooler, the winner of the Sports Channel Best Memory Contest, and we now go to Bonnie Green.
Thank you, Al. And Kenny and I have been talking about taking you to some places that you've never seen before here at Comiskey Park, and this is definitely one of them. This is the electrical room, and believe me, you won't get in here. But because this is the last day here at Old Comiskey, we're going to take a look inside. I'm talking with the chief electrician, Ron Graff, and Ron, you were the one that had the unofficial duty of turning out the lights last night.
That's correct. That's correct. It was a thrill. We had to do it 2 times because of the contest, and everything went good.
Well, tell me exactly how you do that here in this room.
These days now, it's nothing but a motorized oil-cooled switch. As you can see here, it's just a matter of a couple of buttons now. There used to be, it was quite a procedure to turn these towers on and off. They tell me there was an accident here several years ago, like 12 years ago, I suppose, but I wasn't here at the time. They had to replace it with this switch, but because they didn't want that to happen again, they went to this motorized oil-cooled switch, and it's a very simple procedure now.
So it's simple, and it was nothing to do.
Nothing complicated to it anymore.
Well, what do you think the system is going to be like in the new ballpark? Do you know?
Oh, yes, I was over there, and again, it's going to be a manual operation. The computer's not going to do it, but it's a safe procedure. If something was to go wrong, there will be no chance of an explosion or anything like that.
Now, you don't spend the game here in the room, do you?
Not anymore. Where they used to have a man in the vault, the only time we would have a man down here is in a rain delay. If the wind kicks up and we get a lot of water on the fixtures, they tend to explode, being as they're the old type incandescent lighting. So we would have a guy down, and we would turn the lights off. Then I would have to leave him here because the umpires say, okay, the rain stopped, let's play baseball. Boom, we got to have them back on.
Well, as I'm sure folks can see, this is a rather old, antiquated system. But not only is this old, but the lights that are out there now are old. What kind of problems have you had with those lights?
The problem is about half of the light. There's almost 800, 1,500 watt lamps on the roof, and about half of them are still the old incandescent lighting, and they tend to burn out and explode, and we have a hard time getting parts, mainly the bases for the lights. That basically is our only problem. So we have guys up on the roof every night replacing these old fixtures.
And you don't think you're going to have to do that in the new park?
No, we won't. We're going to have the mercury vapors across the street. They should burn for a long time.
Well, you turned out the lights for the last time. Do you think you'll be turning on the lights for the first time at the new Comiskey?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
Well, Ron got to do it. He got the honor, unofficially, of turning out the lights for the last time last night at Comiskey Park.
And again, I was here last night when they had that fireworks show, turned out the lights, and even for a newcomer, it was a sad moment. But going to be a great ballpark across the street, and we will have more on this final day at Comiskey right after this.
Let's go, 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 White Sox. We're with you all the way.
And next up, we have Steve Dahl of the Steve Dahl and Gary Myers Show on WLUP Radio. Steve Dahl is now live with Kenny McReynolds.
Okay, yes, we're inside the ballpark, and this young man here to my right, Steve Dahl, needs no introduction to Chicago.
I'm probably older than you.
You are older than I am, I guarantee you that. But you don't need an introduction. Everybody knows you, and it's obvious by just watching you walk through the ballpark today. You're very popular among White Sox fans.
Yeah, they didn't throw anything at me this time. Actually, when I was here in 1979 for Disco Demolition, they threw cherry bombs at me and beer. Today, they didn't throw anything, and they had me autographing baseballs, which is kind of embarrassing to do in front of actual baseball players, but I did it anyways.
Well, I guarantee you nobody will ever ask Bruce Wolf for his autograph.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Steve. Back in 1979, you had the big party that got out of hand here at Comiskey Park. You weren't at the ballpark for a while, but all of a sudden in 1990, you show up on a commercial promoting White Sox baseball. Why the sudden love affair?
I don't know, but it's okay with me because I've always been a fan. And you know, what happened in 1979 just sort of happened. We didn't try to instigate anything. It just kind of got out of hand. So I'm glad to be back in the good graces of the team, and I look forward to doing some things with them in the future.
You talk about being a baseball fan. Let's talk about some of your favorite Chicago White Sox players. They've had some great ones down through the years here at Comiskey Park.
When I grew up in L.A., so I was a Dodger fan until I moved here in '78.
Right.
So I really kind of didn't like the White Sox. The only contact we had with them was in 1959. And of course, I know all those guys. But I'd have to say Fisk. Seeing him every year still playing the way he plays is pretty remarkable. And you know, other than that, the turnover's been so great lately. I'm not sure I even know the starting 9 at this point, or 10.
Well, you also have, what is Matt down here with you?
My son, Matt.
Matt, are you a White Sox fan?
Yeah.
Yeah? Who's your favorite White Sox player? You like them all? See, he's a politician. He likes everybody. He doesn't want to get on anybody's bad side.
Plus, he doesn't speak Spanish, so he can't pronounce some of the names.
Okay, real briefly, Steve, tell me about the record you made about the White Sox.
Well, I was pretty upset when I heard they were tearing down the park, because I'm a traditionalist when it comes to baseball, and it seemed like that might be a major interruption in the tradition. But with the new park across the street, it sort of seems like there's some continuity. You know, just because my grandfather's no longer around, that doesn't mean I don't remember us playing baseball, going to games, talking about baseball. And I think it's going to be the same way. And so I started to feel a little bit better about it, and I just wanted to sort of write a goodbye song. So that's what I did. It's sappy, it's syrupy, but it really is the way I feel.
And of course, you can hear it always on your radio station. I had a chance to see that video. Now let's take a look at the new video by Steve Dahl.
summer, and I left you every fall, and springtime reunited us to cry, hey, let's play ball, and I never thought you'd leave me, but I know you're getting old, so thank you for the memories, the stories that you've told, where generations came together as the evening sun went down. Was the place had to be. Carl Yastrzemski came to town. You came to town. You grew up on the mighty South Side. In a cow field you did rise, and you watched the Black Sox scandal with a tear in your stony eyes. In '59 they blessed you, and again in '83. You stood there beside them through the losses and the victories, where generations came together as the evening sun went down. It was the place had to be when Mickey Mantle came to town, and he came to town. Well, good night,
to look back at a glorious memory from Comiskey Park's historic past.
Two White Sox hurlers have graced the Comiskey Park pitcher's mound and brought a Cy Young Award to Chicago. Early Wynn was the leader of the White Sox pitching staff with 22 victories and 256 innings pitched, this in the pennant-winning season of 1959. In Game 1 of the 1959 World Series at Comiskey Park, Early struck out 6 Dodger batters in 7 innings of work as the White Sox cruised to an 11-0 victory. 24 years later, a right-hander named Lamar Hoyt proceeded to win the 1983 American League Cy Young Award by leading all American League pitchers with 24 victories in 260 innings of work. He also set a new team record by winning in 13 consecutive games pitched. Lamar Hoyt opened the 1983 American League Championship Series against Baltimore by hurling a complete game, allowing only 1 run on 5 hits. Comiskey Park, home of Cy Young winners Early Wynn and Lamar Hoyt.
I take care of my body, play a lot of sports, play to win. I go to Sportmart. They got the best, at the best prices.
For the way you play.
The everyday Sportmart price is guaranteed the lowest in town. I get the difference in cash. It's the ESP guarantee.
For the way you play.
Save on men's over-the-calf cotton tube socks from Ridgeview. All white or assorted stripes. 6-pair value pack, just $9.96 at Sportmart.
Sportmart. For the way you play.
And we are still here in the Sports Channel Hospitality Tent north of the ballpark. Only about 15 minutes to go until game time. And talking about memories, I'm very happy to have a gentleman next to me, Louis Portnoy, who at the age of 15 was a bat boy for the White Sox. Boy, that takes us back.
That goes back quite a ways. I'm even old now.
Well, right now, you know, you are a stockbroker. Have there ever been days on the stock market where you wished you were back being a bat boy?
Just about every day, especially in the last few months. Things have been going very well over here and not so well over there.
Tell me how it came about that you became a bat boy. I mean, so many of us out there, when we were growing up, not only did we want to be Major League ball players, we would have loved to have been a bat boy.
It's really a dream come true. In 1969, in the 60s prior to that, the Sun-Times and the Daily News had sponsored a Why I Wanted to Be Bat Boy for the White Sox contest, 50 words or less, of which I can recite every one, by the way. But I was one of the winners, and came down to the Bard's room for an interview with my dad. We went through an extensive interview process and was one of the winners.
What did you think? What was your first reaction?
It really didn't hit me until it started to be in the newspapers, and then, of course, the first day, coming down to the ballpark, not as a fan, but sort of as an employee, and working and doing something that anybody would do for anything.
What was it like putting that uniform on?
It was very exciting. They just threw these clothes at us, said, go get dressed. I had number 66. It said Bat Boy. It was the blue uniform, or the white uniform with the blue piping. They wore these white over socks with blue sanitary hose, was the uniform that year. They had AstroTurf in the infield. First year they had that. Al Lopez came back. Louis Aparicio came back. They had the pitching staff from the 60s that was so dominant, Orland, Peters, and John. Wilbur Wood. Ken Berry was a very good friend of mine. Walt Williams was the leading hitter that year. He had 304. Played right field. They pulled in the fences that year by about 10 feet or so. They had this artificial fence that was up.
Now, being a bat boy, you go back to school, your friends know about it, or they come out to the ballpark and see you. What was the reaction among your friends?
They were very excited, and again, it really didn't sink in until, you know, I was gone during the afternoon sometimes, and I was going to the ballpark, or they came to the park and saw me in uniform playing catch with Richie Jackson or Ken Harrelson, for that matter, and all the greats in the American League that year, Frank Robinson, Al Kaline. I met Joe DiMaggio, was a coach with Oakland that year. It was very exciting, and of course now it becomes even more special to me.
Well, that's terrific. Louis Portnoy, who was a bat boy when he was 15 years old with the White Sox, thanks for coming by and enjoy the ball game today. And we have somebody right over here. Is it true that you were the first bat girl?
No, no. I've been coming here about 50 years.
Well, what's your earliest memory out here at Comiskey Park?
The earliest memory is looking over the green fence.
Looking over? Didn't have a ticket?
Didn't have a ticket. But I looked over the green fence.
And what do you remember seeing?
looking at all the ball players and wishing I could get in. Couldn't get in, so that was my best choice.
Any of them throw a ball over or something like that?
Yeah, but I wasn't running fast enough. And I've been going the last 5 years with my son with season pass we've been buying. And I hate to see this park go. I just hate to see it.
Well, have you had a chance to walk around the new ballpark yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to walk around it at all.
Of course, it's going to be the same team. The 91 Sox should be exciting, and I understand it's going to be sad.
I hope so. I hope it is. I hope it's as nice as our old park.
Well, enjoy the final game today, and I hope it's a great memory for you and everybody else.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we will be back with more on the Sports Channel coverage of the final day at Comiskey right after this.
To Comiskey, we hate to see it end. Goodbye to Comiskey. You can do it with true value.
Recycling? Good for you. Start by turning grass clippings and leaves into compost inside this Gilbert & Bennett metal compost bin for just $15.88. Speed up the process with Ringer Brown Leaf Compost Maker for only $4.88. And get an 8-pack of 33-gallon size EnviroGuard compost bags. They're just $2.49 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
The Blackhawks return to Sports Channel in October. The final weekend at Comiskey Park is brought to you in part by True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores.
And right now we'll be going back out onto the ball field with Bonnie Green and Kenny McReynolds. They're talking with relief pitcher Donn Pall.
Thanks, Al. We're here with Donn Pall and Kenny. Don's going to tell us a little bit about being from right around here. You're a local boy.
Yeah, I grew up about 20 minutes from this ballpark on the south side, Evergreen Park. Been there about 25, 26 years of my life and came out to a lot of games out here and got a lot of memories. It's going to be a lot different for me as compared to the rest of the players in the team because I've been a fan here a lot more often and they've just been players.
Did you ever think you'd be right here in Chicago? You'd come back home?
I never thought I'd make the major leagues. You know, I thought you had to be some kind of super stud, godlike kind of a person to pitch or play in the major leagues. And now that I'm here, I know it's not true because I'm just a regular guy and I'm here pitching. So, you know, I never thought I'd have a chance to pitch on this field. And I'm just very thankful and cherish every moment I've got out here.
Don, let me ask you, who were some of your favorite Chicago White Sox baseball players growing up in Chicago?
Well, I didn't have any real heroes, but a lot of the good players, I enjoyed watching Richie Allen. He was Dick Allen then, you know, he kept changing from Richie to Rich to Dick. Bill Melton, Wilbur Woods, Joel Horlins, Gary Peters, a lot of those guys from the olden days, and then in '77 with Zisk and Gamble and the Southside Hitmen. And I can remember coming out in '83 and watching sneaking in the golden boxes and then watching, I think it was back-to-back roof shots by both Fisk and Kittle.
Fisk and Kittle.
Yeah, and now it's just amazing that now I'm in the same clubhouse as those guys. Just amazing.
Especially Carlton Fisk, because he just goes on and on and on.
How about it? I know. Maybe my kids will play with him, too. I don't know.
I think everybody's kids will play with Carlton Fisk. I don't think he'll ever quit.
Really?
When this ballpark comes down, I think that's when it'll hit me growing up a block from here. When the wrecking ball actually hits Comiskey Park, how do you think Donn Pall would feel?
Well, I don't know if I'll feel any sadder than I am out here today. You know, it'll be a bad moment, but all things have to come to an end. It's too bad it can't go on forever, but that's just the way it is. Just have to deal with it.
Okay. Let me ask you, final point. How bad do you guys want to win this game today?
Very badly. We really want to win this game because it's such a different atmosphere and aura around here when we're winning compared to when we're losing. Fans have just so much electricity when we're winning out here. There's a lot of chanting going on, some real loud cheering. And when we're losing, I mean, these fans will boo you. If you're losing and playing poorly, they'll boo you. They'll boo you the last day of this whole ballpark. They'll boo you, I guarantee it. So we've got to go out there and play some good baseball and win this game.
Well, as part of the youth movement here with the new White Sox, are you looking forward to playing in the new park?
Definitely. I'd like to play in that new ballpark, but you know, I will miss playing in this ballpark, though. You know, I hate to see this thing go, but good things have to come to an end, and I will look forward to playing in that park because it's a whole new tradition, a whole new era out there, so let's just do it.
Okay, Donn Pall, thank you so much for taking time out and being with us. Well, Bonnie, hey, I got a tear in my eye when we went by the right field because it was tough, but hey, let's go to Al Janis outside.
Okay, thanks, guys, and that is our final pregame report here on Sports Channel on the final day at Old Comiskey Park. I'm Al Janis, live at the Sports Channel Hospitality Tent north of the ballpark. Reminder, I will be back live after the game with a post-game show up in the press box, and for now we go to the press box with Tom Paciorek and Kenny Harrelson as we have baseball for the last time on this side of 35th Street. We now have a game between the Chicago White Sox and the Seattle Mariners.